Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Fabian as usual, and today we are talking about the one and only Outfit Wars. As you might know, I had the honor to actually cast the matches happening on Miller. And oh my, there has been quite some drama, but also a lot of hype. So right now, I think after a few days, I think it's time to talk about all the things related to Outfit Wars. Also, I want this to be a lively discussion, so if you don't agree with me or you have your own opinion about Outfit Wars, do let me know in the comments down below, because I will be reading all of them, of course. Having said all of that, let me start with the good things caused by Outfit Wars. So, as you might know, the Outfit Wars are a part of the Escalation update, and for anyone that lived under a rock regarding Planetside 2, well, the Outfit Wars were a kind of competitive match setting where 3 teams of 48 players faced off against each other. The first matches were played on the 11th of April on Saturday on the new Desolation map that came with the Escalation update. However, already a lot of people noticed the Outfit Wars even before the matches because there was a qualification phase as well. Like I mentioned before, there are 3 tiers. We've got the gold tier, the silver tier and the bronze tier. These tiers were decided by actually playing on the live server. And in the end, every faction of every server had their highest scoring outfit in the gold tier, the second highest in the silver tier, and the third highest in the bronze tier. And all these different outfits and all these different tiers were going to play against the other factions. So not against other servers, no, against other factions on the same server. Other than that, the Outfit Wars were pretty much a plain experience of Planetside. There were no restrictions and you could play with whatever you wanted to. That means you could play infantry, you could play vehicles, you could do construction, there were even orbital strikes. To make the game mode a bit more strategic, a bit more esports, they did bring in some changes regarding the resource system. Nanites were not unlimited and therefore farming caution became really viable. In my humble opinion, I do really think that the Outfit Wars did show finally for the first time that having a good construction system does have advantages, especially in those competitive settings. And that was pretty much a big surprise for me. However, I think a fun surprise. But okay, the main objective remained capturing bases and not farming resources. There were 9 bases in total, and capturing a base and holding a base for 10 seconds gave you 1 point. The first outfit that actually got 500 points would win the first outfit war. The outfit on Cobalt called Toxic Zerg Service, also known as T, actually got the win in only 17 minutes, so really congratulations. But that is how fast the games can go. Other than that, they do have a maximum of 1.5 hours. But I do think that the majority of matches ended within the first 45 minutes. But okay, I want to talk about the advantages first. And one of the big advantages during the qualification phase was just a boost in population. Many people wanted to make sure that their outfit would actually qualify for the Outfit Wars, and therefore it was really important to also play on the live servers. Some outfits were even doing 24-hour shifts, so that would mean they would get points all day long. That was not the only positive thing. During the Outfit Wars themselves, there was a massive viewership on, for example, Twitch and YouTube, and in general, the hype of the event made sure that the interest in the game did not double, did not triple, it actually got 20 times as big as usual. And yes, if you ask me, that is huge. These events are so important to make sure that Planetside 2 is in the spotlights again. These events make sure that people actually rediscover or discover Planetside 2 for the first time. So if you think about the longevity of the game, having these events is so important. In retrospect, I am really surprised by the success of the Outfit Wars. In the past, I made statements like, well, I don't think it will be a success because are outfits still relevant in 2020, especially those big outfits, and are they even interested right now in a kind of competitive scene? But yeah, the outfits actually took it seriously. They trained for the events, they made sure they were on time, they had some preparations done. All in all, it was quite a good outcome, I think. I also have to thank people like RGTV, Kamikaze, Commander Sirius, Winter Gaming, Project Incursors, Planetside Battles, all the people doing streams for Planetside 2 during the Outfit Wars. Unfortunately, only a really small percentage of all the Planetside 2 players could participate with the Outfit Wars, and therefore it was so important that you could see how your outfit was doing on the battlefield. These people made sure that even though RPG themselves couldn't cover a single game, we could see the majority of matches. However, that is also my first point of critique. I know some smaller outfits, and those smaller outfits have been grinding hard during the qualification phase to become part of the outfit wars. Doesn't matter if it was bronze, silver or gold. But okay, they want to be part of the outfit wars, and of course they want to be on the big screen as well. They wanted to be streamed so people could see them play. However, unfortunately for especially the Soltech server and the European servers, there wasn't that much coverage. For example, I really tried to broadcast all the matches happening on Miller, but in the end I could only watch one tier actually finish, and that was the bronze tier on Miller. And I tried to watch all of them, but you're always missing something. So don't get me wrong, I am really glad that RPG asked quite a lot of Planetside 2 content creators to cast the outfit wars matches. However, just an example of the EU servers, there were 6 matches happening at the same time, but there were only 5 casters available. And I think out of these 5, there were 2 only streaming in a special language, so for example French and Russian. And I think that 2 were streaming the exact same game on Cobalt, the Cobalt Gold one. I do understand these streamers that they want to stream the gold game because gold seems good, right? But I think it's disrespectful towards the other tiers because there are also outfits that really tried hard to win these games. But okay, so RPG, listen to me. The next time you ask streamers, make sure there are enough and make sure that every freaking tier on every freaking server gets their own streamer, because I do know, if you ask kindly, I do know that there are more people willing to stream these games, because sometimes, yes, sometimes the Planetside community can be pretty nice. The community can also be pretty exhausted though, and that is also my second point of critique. Well, as you might know guys, I just mentioned that some outfits were doing 24-hour shifts. So that meant there was always somebody playing Planetside 2. And ladies and gentlemen, at that point that you're available 24/7, something starts to break inside of you. Sometimes guys, Planetside 2 is just a game, not a job. So you need to understand that some people play this game to have fun and not just to grind all day long. And I heard from so many outfits, so many players that, okay, for once it is okay to grind and play with the outfit wars. But that's something you can't keep doing. So I heard from many players, okay, after outfit wars I'm going to take a break of like a week, maybe 2 weeks, or maybe even until the next outfit wars. Because I know it is pretty exciting, but also pretty draining. My third point of critique is regarding the setting. And I have mentioned this already a few times, but I don't see 1v1v1 as a competitive setting. It just doesn't work like that. In any competitive game, it is always 1v1, because otherwise you got the danger of being double teamed by the 2 other parties. And that happens quite a lot in these matches. For example, we got some really strong outfits, let's say Recursion, let's say K, let's say THVA or Miller. Based on the skill level of the individual players and based on their reputation, they should have been the winners of the gold leagues. However, this is simply not a competitive setting. The double teaming makes sure there are so many uncertainties in a game setup, and that is okay if you want it to be a casual game mode. But okay, these outfit wars also grant you some special titles and it grants you all kind of things. So for me personally, I do think it should be a 1v1 simply. However, of course, as you might know, Planetside has always been a 1v1v1, and even on the live servers, life isn't fair. So why then should the outfit wars be fair? That's a good point. I can't really answer that, and that's I think something you guys should discuss in the comments down below. My fourth point of critique is regarding ringers, so people actually coming to your outfit only to play the games, because those people are probably better than the normal player in your outfit, so they can maybe help you win the games, and these are called ringers. And that was really a problem with these outfit wars. It was even possible to create quote-unquote super outfits just for the outfit wars. This completely ruins competition in the game. And if you want it to be somewhat fun to watch, I think it is nice to have some even competition as well. Luckily, I do think there's a rather easy solution for this. I do think if your outfit wants to participate with the outfit wars, it needs to be existing for an X amount of time before the actual sign-ups of the outfit wars. Furthermore, I also think that people should be part of the outfit already a few X amount of months before the sign-ups of the outfit wars. That doesn't mean you can't switch outfits anymore. I do think though that having a nice transfer window, like with football, like with many sports, could be more fair. It shouldn't be the case that only for the outfit wars, some players are playing on Cobalt and then on Emerald and then also on Connery just because they are so good at the game. Anyway, that is my perspective, but it also brings me to my final point. And that is that outfit wars should be somewhat accessible to a larger player base. In Planetside 2, there are quite some big outfits, or also known as Zergfits, and they can exist out of 100 players, 200 players, 500 players, 1000 players, 5000 players. If you're part of one of those big outfits, the chance that you can play in the outfit wars is really small, because again, every outfit can only bring 48 players. Moreover, the qualification system is really geared towards larger outfits with lots and lots of players. So if you're part of a small outfit, you can basically forget to become part of the outfit wars. And also if you are part of a really big outfit, well, then the chances are also pretty low that you can actually participate with the outfit wars. The good thing about this is that maybe some Zergfits decide to splinter off because they want to have a shot at also participating with the outfit wars. But I don't know if it will actually happen in practice. But in theory, maybe that might help. I do think that the outfit wars are meant to be played by a small portion of the Planetside community, so to say the somewhat more competitive side of Planetside. But what I think would be nice for the more casual community, if the Desolation map, so the whole new map created especially for outfit wars, would be open on certain days or certain times, just so the more casual players would be allowed to play on it. Unfortunately, there are too many players that don't know about the PTS, that don't know about outfit wars, that don't know about all these things happening, or don't have the capacity to play during outfit wars, and therefore will miss out on a very well made map. Moreover, I do know a lot of outfits that would love to actually scrim or practice on these maps as well. So having it only available also as a practice mode or somewhat alike, but also open to other players, maybe like every Saturday night, that would be lovely to not only create interest in outfit wars, but also make it more available. Anyway, enough chit-chat, ladies and gentlemen. I do think I made my point well with many of the things I've been saying so far. Do let me know in the comments down below what you think. But overall, one final conclusion. I do like the way where outfit wars is heading. And I think the execution so far is pretty okay. There is a lot of drama on Miller due to outfit wars. There is a lot of drama on other servers. But overall, it creates a kind of hype that I think otherwise couldn't have been created. Maybe something like Racket Smash could have done something similar. But it's been a long time since I've seen something like this. I might not agree with all the art directions. I might not agree with all the gameplay decisions. But okay, it is what it is. And I think it's okay. But that's me, ladies and gentlemen. That's Faber1. And I will see you soon with some more content.